Hey guys, welcome to the MC Anime Podcast. We cover anime, geek culture, Japanese aesthetics, and Asian studies. We are a multi-fandom podcast, and you can expect to hear topics in your favorite hobby or fandom activity potentially. You can find MC Anime on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Also, please check out mcanimepodcast.com, our website. Furthermore, stay tuned in for another episode.
Guys, welcome to another episode of MC Anime Podcast. Today we're back with Leah. How you doing today?
I'm pretty good. I'm learning some new recipes for breakfast and whatnot because I'm too lazy to do meal prep. So that's been fun. My kitchen is a mess, but I'm on my way to learning a bunch of new stuff. So whenever I actually invite people over to my house, I may cook for them. Still up in the air. Don't know for sure. But outside of that, yeah, I'm pretty good.
That's good.
All right, well.
But yeah, today we're an interesting subject because we'll be doing the Sandman review and how we like the TV show. Do you want to give any perspective on today's episode?
Yeah, this is something you've been talking about wanting to do for a hot minute. And before we even decided to pick this one, I think I watched up to 7 episodes, episode 7. There's only 10 in the season. It came out last year. And I forgot why I stopped. I think I went on vacation, but I actually stopped watching it and then just never came back to it. But yeah, I learned it was a comic book beforehand. I never read it, but the show was really good. And from what I've seen from everyone else, it's really comics as well.
So I like how, the show dives into not only the legendary figure Sandman, otherwise a mythical figure, but it just has different layers to people think of dreams and how it all works.
Oh yeah, for sure. It has a layered mythology for those out there. If you're a fan of Greek mythology, they have the Fates who appear. If you are an anime fan and you like the 7 deadly sins, you'll have a very big interest in the way that these godly beings dream and desire and despair, how they all exist. There's death. I don't think they're the life one, but there's 7 of them. And so they all pull from different mythologies, which made the show very, very cool to watch how they mixed it together.
True. What's kind of interesting because, you have Morpheus who has the realm of dreams, and then such realm breaks apart with his absence.
Well, should we explain the synopsis of the show first for those who haven't seen it?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. As basic as a breakdown of it can be, and basically what MC just said. It's a show about dreams, or Morpheus, which unfortunately that name is ruined now. Thank you, Jared Leto. But yeah, it's a show about Dream, who gets captured in the human world while he was on a mission to capture one of his nightmares. Which, when it comes to Dream, he has dreams and he has nightmares that exist for humans. So that way you're able to dream and have hope, but you're also able to have nightmares, so you kind of build up courage or know what not to do so you don't suffer that fate. But because he gets captured, and he gets captured for 100 years, there is a sleeping sickness that engulfs the world during that year, where just a ton of people don't wake up from their dreams. They're just trapped in them forever. And then from there, his nightmare, who's going around and killing people just because he can, and that's his own version of freedom. He's out there causing mayhem. Dreams tools and artifacts get sold off across different parts of the world, so he has to retrieve them once he's actually free. And it's a whole first arc of the story that kind of introduces you into some of his siblings, desire and despair, and death. A lot of humans who kind of have had lineage since he's actually been captured, and then Dream himself and kind of how he exists in his moral code. So that's season 1. That's the story. Now we can jump. Now that we're caught up.
Oh yeah, and most of season 1 is him, recovering the tools and rebuilding, quote unquote, domain of dreams and trying to fix the never-ending sleep of the comas and stuff. They call it I think this was a time similar to the Dark Ages, when there wasn't much dreams. Something similar has happened.
Well, I don't think it was the Dark Ages. I think it was the 1800s, 1900s. They had electricity. It's a thing. So it was the 1900s. when he
not,
gets
no,
captured.
I'll talk about the last time humanity didn't have dreams was the Dark Ages.
Oh yeah, that was
Basically,
definitely. Yeah.
and it caused a lot of panic, and it was, low-term life expectancy.
I mean, I can see why. I had a few friends who have told me that they don't dream when they sleep, and that sounds terrifying. Just the idea of it sounds horrible, but yes.
Well, I'm a vivid dreamer myself. I have entire movies playing in my head. Not kidding. Sometimes I will sleep longer knowing that I have a dream, but keep my eyes shut and continue the dream how I see it happening. I don't know. That is mine.
Or an active dreamer.
Anyway, okay, there's one point I know what's going on or don't know exactly, and then I'm like halfway awake but halfway asleep, that I am aware that I don't want to wake up because the dream will stop and I can't continue it with my eyes open for a little bit of time. So I keep my eyes shut, sleeping longer, but stay in that dream state of sleep. That's why I put my alarm at 6 o'clock every single day.
You wake up at 6 every single day?
I put an alarm for 6 o'clock every day because for the dream. Because they say when you have dreams, the best way is to actually make you have a semi-conscious waking state.
Yes, but why does it have to be at 6 a.m.? I'm not disagreeing with whatever little dream walk you want to do. I'm just trying to figure out why this happened at 6 a.m. Why are you doing it
I put
at
that at 6 a.m. because in case I want to wake up, I can't go back to sleep, I have an option to do stuff later in the morning with the projects I do. It just allows me that time to either make that choice to do something, like something I want to do, or go back to sleep and sleep a little longer.
Okay.
And plus it gets me used to waking up at 6 o'clock every day so I can go in the morning and work. Because I have a hard time, if I'm not like waking up every day at that time, it's a lot harder to wake up at that time. Especially when I have to wake up at 5 o'clock.
That sounds, that's horrific. I hate that. But it's a process for you, and that's okay. That's totally fine. But what you're saying does sound like either vivid dreaming when you're actually asleep and everything you like, because do you remember most of your dreams, or do you just know that your dreams are pretty clear when you're asleep?
I remember most of my dreams. One dream was an island by time vortexes, and they were hidden by time vortexes, and these time vortexes will open up and the airplane and a train crashed onto it. But a person also was launched into the time vortex as well, and I think I remember hearing a door and you hear them on the other side being like a dimension portal.
Okay. On it, you know what?
Island is like entirely hidden from the real outside world because of the time vortexes, but it's glitching, so real life objects are actually coming into the island and messing it up.
Interesting. Yeah, fair. But you know that thing where it's like when you try to explain your dream to somebody, but it makes less sense to that person. I know that you can clearly see, and I have an idea of what you're saying, but no on my end. Like I would probably have to draw it out in my brain to really get it. But
basically, if you want to have the short version, you have an island.
You don't have to explain your dream. You know what? That's not what I was asking.
Through the different hidden island tropes. It's hidden from the outside world. It's using fog or using some mechanism to stay hidden, right? And it's hidden from the outside world. No outsider can come in unless they want you to come in. Stuff like that.
Okay. Well, that makes relative sense.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, that type of reality is how dreams will play out in Sandman. But what's interesting with Sandman is that the dreams that you have are also aspirations in your life as well. These are the things escaping to the dream world where you're happy, where you have the vision to hope. It gives hope and gives aspirations to what you want in the future, or who you are right now. And that show really does encapsulate on that theme. Like it really captures people's dreams in a way that's compelling and tells the story to drive the narrative of the Endless and him being Morbius as Sandman.
Which is where that main, I would say that the first one is split into two parts. There is Dream getting his items back, and then Dream dealing with the bigger scheme that is happening in the background. But that first half is seeing what honestly the whole season is seeing the repercussions of dream not being there, because if you do not have something to strive for, an inspiration for that thing, or something that kind of helps guide your moral path, it can completely change who you are as a person, which is what we see in multiple human characters within the show. There are some mythological characters who exist from the dream world that show a presence of having their own dreams and aspirations. Honestly, all the mythical beings, but they kind of phrase that differently, or Dream just says that is a dream. I don't count that as a dream, and I'm the ruler of the realm, so it is what it is. But for the humans, they need to have both dreams and nightmares, or it completely alters who they are.
Yep. And the overlapping plot when we first get started with Dream is basically the cult that wants to get, snare him, trap him, and use his power for themselves. The thing is, if you use the power of Sandman and the items that he has, it's really not good for humanity to have endless dreams, to have access to endless dreams, just make anything happen on the fly.
Well, it was understood that, quite honestly, they weren't necessarily trying to get Dream to begin with. They were trying to get death. So it starts with two fathers. Both of them have lost their eldest son, and the man of the banner, can't think of his name right now. His son ended up dying in the war. He does have a second son. He don't care about the child at all. It's so messed up. But basically, to do a ritual, and it is to summon death, because they feel that if they can entrap death, they'll be able to get their sons back and finally be happy again. But they end up capturing Dream right before he ends up killing his nightmare, who's roaming about, whose name is what's the guy? Corinthian. Which again, it's just fun to see them mix all these religions and mythologies. But yeah, so they capture Dream, and then they just keep him there. They just take it, like the guy who summoned him, he takes his stuff. I can't remember what happened to the other father. I guess he was just like, well, dead son. We did our best. We did our level best. And then he's never seen again. But yeah, they keep Dream's things, and from there, naturally, his stuff kind of spreads across the world, and it wreaks wild havoc. Because also humans, we don't really know how to not overindulge when we have something that's good, because it feels good, and you see how that affects others and the selfishness that also comes with it.
True. I know with me, if I have one of the items or the artifacts that he has, I'll probably use it in a way to bring on success, a small success about the podcast, maybe in a way, and then I'll keep it locked up so no one else gets used to it, and I can just live that success. I don't need much. Other people will indulge and have every riches in the world can give, which we see overabundance in Sandman. How about you? What will you try to encapsulate in your life?
I think it would be the main basic things. You wanna be successful. You wanna have enough money, not just for yourself, but to help your family and your loved ones. And then I would just kind of want to be able to experience everything that the world has to offer. So I would definitely use those, I would use them so I could stay alive as long as possible. I could avoid any pain or death or anything like that, and just indulge in all of the good things for as long as my time would allow, and as long as the powers would allow. Because also you only get a fraction of them, which makes it, I think, kind of scarier, is that you don't know what it would actually be like to have the power of Dream. You don't know what it would be like to have all of Morpheus' power. You just get a fraction of it, even with all of his tools in your command. But even then, it would satisfy any mortal desire that I have, so I'd take it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because you want a little bit more than what I do in terms of what you want and how you want to live your life. I just want more success in what I want to do and just live the life like that, not really have much else feeding into it, and not really feed into the power of greed, because at that point I'm very content with having a little bit. I don't need much more.
Yeah, that's not me at all.
I just like things. That's what kind of makes me happy. I live life go with my light and balance it all and go from there. But
I'm the opposite.
album, we have the pouch of dream stain, the dream's helm, and the dreamstone ruby. It's kind of interesting how these give assets to dream, like as more like to focus his power more instead of just using his power. Which he don't need these items, but he prefers these items because it's tools to help him do his job better and be more than just the endless figure he is. He literally put his power into these items. He enchanted them when he didn't have to, but he felt the need to do so.
Well, it helps him when he's on Earth. So that makes sense. Like, it helps him with finding people, which was a big thing, because the scene where he finally does meet with the Fates to learn where all of his 3 items are. He has like a helm, which is a helmet. He has like the sands, which I don't know what it is, like the sands of time or whatever, or not even sands of time. They just like allow someone to live much longer than they're supposed to. And kind of grant them this type of protection. And I forgot what the third one was.
It's the greenstone ruby.
Oh, the ruby. Yeah. So all 3 of those, he doesn't know where they are because he's been locked up for 100 years in a basement. But when he does ask the Fate, they all, the everyone, if you know what the Fates are, it's like, past, future, present, and they only speak in riddles. So he only got 3 questions because he offered 3 offerings. Got 3 questions, got 3 riddle answers, but only one gave him enough details where he could immediately start with that. But once he started getting his items, he was able to find the other ones pretty quick.
Yeah. The dream span is interesting because it allows you to go into sleep. It's literally make you into sleep, make you go into dream. That extends your life by living in the realm of dream for a lot longer and not have to wake up. And then the dream's helm is, I believe, like a focus of the power and the personification of what it gives the user.
Yes.
And then the Dreamstone Ruby is actually more powerful because it actually grants anyone's desire to come true.
Oh, yeah.
It has reality shaping. Yeah, has reality shaping means.
Which is the same, like, I don't know, dude. Think of Thanos with his Infinity Stones. Like, they all have reason and purpose for why he needs them on the human world. Because when he's in the dream world, that's literally his domain. And so every one of these, the siblings, they all have their own, like, kind of universe and domain that they reign over. And for his, for dreams, like land, that is where all his creations exist. That's where all his powers are. And also the dreams and nightmares are supposed to live there. So when mythical beings aren't there, he has to go find them, which is why those 3 items, that's why he made them, which makes sense. Yeah. Because he doesn't reign over Earth. He only reigns over none of it, which makes it understandable why he would need the power to morph the world around him, also go into people's dreams and stuff like that. He kind of has to like pump himself up. I think he's powerless almost when he first gets out.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, I really like the missions to recapture the items personally, just because it's kind of unique, seeing a glimpse of Lucifer Morningstar and everything else.
I'll admit, the story did kind of take me for a loop because, again, it's split into 2 parts. So the first part is him retrieving his item. He's going to hell. He's going to the human world. He's in the dream world. He's hopping through these dimensions, like he's taking a train. And that whole story arc was really interesting. And I didn't know how long it was going to go. I thought it was going to be like how we have for anime and like our Marvel movies, where the whole thing for the first season or first movie is for one specific goal. It's retrieving all of these things, and they kind of like build up to the next part. But no, they had like halfway through the season, he has all his items, and now he has to go deal with a bigger issue. And that it had 2 different speeds to me. The show was still beautiful, and the design and everything, the mood still kind of felt similar, but the motivation changed. It felt like almost 2 different arcs that I was watching. So I like the first part. I think the second part, though, is what really got me into wanting to see where the story goes. And I think they're doing a second season. They gotta be.
Yeah,
anyway, but
that's kind of interesting because, I like, the serial convention episode. That was interesting. That kind of like, when I watched that episode, it kind of spawned the ideas like, ooh, maybe I should do like a murder mystery or a serial convention myself.
No. The serial, okay, so if you don't know what it is, the serial convention is a convention for serial killers, really clear in the name, who are all kind of born from Corinthian existence on Earth, because Corinthians have just been killing humans for centuries, and there's no dreams or nightmares, and like they're just doing whatever. So he's been out here basically kind of creating his own offspring in the world of humans by having people who just are super deplorable. They don't have dreams and they don't feel anything for other humans. They have no apathy. They have no empathy. They're empty. And so they have a convention, and he's like the keynote speaker. He's TED talking on the stage because they're just like, he's the best to ever do it. The killer of our like world, our lives, our century. And it's just like, what? What? It made me, as someone who enjoys true, like, I'm like, of course, if you listen to true crime, you're like, man, that's crazy. At least that'll never be me. But a convention for the serial killers is insane. It made me kind of giggle. Because I was like, nothing flipping our stuff on our heads.
Yeah, he uses, control domain over nightmares as a way to give them dreams about how to could do the perfect murder. So they're plotting in their head when they dream how to murder people.
It starts at home.
Or do other things, like collecting and living out your desire of the crime you want to commit. Not everyone's a murderer, but they're not always the same.
Well, the collective
It's kind of funny how it actually was spelled. It wasn't spelled like the serial killer. It was actually spelled with the actual serial to disguise it as like a real convention. It was literally a name hidden in meaning in how they spelled it. They said Cerely, something like that. It's the actual cereal eat instead of the actual cereal that means repetitive, repeated.
Yes, because even though that's the thing, Corinthian is witty, and to me personally, I think he is closer in imitation of what we would think, I would say, of Lucifer morning style. If you grew up with Christianity, he lies, he's very like persuasive and charming. He just wants to watch the world burn. And then compared to when you actually see Lucifer, they're like, it's a complete flip. There's much more calmness and like elegance and all that. But Corinthians is out here, he eats eyes because he doesn't have any. As a nightmare, he only has a mouth. He wears glasses the whole show because he has no eyes. So when he kills people, he takes their eyes, and that's how he's able to, one, collect their memories and like see what they see, but also know what it feels like to be human, which is strange. It shows him emotion, and he actually gets to feel something for a little bit. And that's why he's doing it. It's this envy for humans that they're able to like live and experience these things, but they're not grateful or take advantage or whatever in his mind. So he's very spiteful. And his collection habits and his harm to humanity habits just bleed right into his followers. It's so weird, but it's cool, but it's weird. Seeing him get on stage and do a speech had me giggling. I was like, wow. They went all the way. They were like, you are the guest of honor.
Yeah, and also no one can show the real name, and then they show someone actually like technically using their real name, and then it's connecting back to them, and then they just have a field day with 3 different murderers taking them out. It's kind of interesting in that episode how everything reveals itself. I'm not going to talk about like the major plot, how Quincy is trying to do, but it was kind of cool seeing how it played out and the feel of it. The building up for it was good as well. So I do like the manifestation episode with Lucifer and Morbius, basically dueling over which vision of concept is more powerful than the other.
Was that in the beginning?
That's in the beginning. That's when they try to retrieve the dream helm from hell.
Oh yes. Okay. I was like,
as a champion for one of the lower ranked demons, and Dream has to fight as his own champion, and they do a duel of manifestations of concepts. So like say the planet or pain, that's a concept that will like go against each other. You try to build up on top of it, be more powerful than the other person, try to like weak their will kind of thing, break their will when they can't really. Yeah. I think how Lucifer's will was actually broken. I'm not gonna. That was really funny. There's one concept that Lucifer does not have a way to break because of how he is?
I'm gonna admit the reason why that kind of slipped my mind is because I don't know. I guess I wasn't too into it. Like I didn't like because at that point, Dreams in Hell, they're having this battle. He's fighting Lucifer, and every time Lucifer attacks, Dream kind of gets transported to somewhere in the past. He's like his will's starting to break, and then they literally hit us with the power of friendship with like a crow. That's one of his familiars that follows him around named Matthew. And Matthew's like, "Come on, boss." Also, it's voiced by Patton Oswalt, which I didn't even know. But regardless, he's like, "Come on, boss, you can do this. You know what's stronger than despair and darkness and anger and regret and da 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 da." And I forgot what he said. It's like he says like a phrase, and that's his next attack, and then he wins. And it pisses Lucifer off. He gets the stuff and he leaves. But Lucifer's, of course, very, very angry. But I don't know. Just thought that I don't know. The whole like him like fighting for his stuff to get his Healm back in hell. I think I just didn't like that part. Because also, right before they did that, there was an African princess who he banished to hell like a millennia ago because he fell in love with her, but she was like, "No, thank you." No, he said, "I'm just gonna send you there. And I'm gonna have my sibling keep you there for eternity," because it was like random incellian motion that happened, and then they just said, "All right, now he's got the power of friendship and he's the winner." And I said, "Wait a minute, hold on." And I feel like those two things stuck in my mind way more than the actual fight. The fight was cool looking, it was neat. The actress who plays Lucifer in that scene, amazing.
That's actually a true version of Lucifer Morningstar in the actual comics.
Oh, so they kept that one.
Well, the thing is, Dream and Sandman was actually more based on the comic series than Lucifer on the other Netflix version, which is like a spin-off from the actual comic.
Okay.
So, but I don't know. It also foreshadowed in that episode that Lucifer will enact revenge on Dream as the first step up for her plan for invasion and war, for his plan.
Yes.
But I do have to mention one thing. Lucifer in the comics clearly looks like a woman. Even though he's a man, you just can't get that perception off of you.
I mean, that's fun. If you like Norse mythology, Loki, the trickster god, he's also like gender fluid throughout the mythology there. So I'm assuming the same for Lucifer. Any kind of like deceptive transformation god out there, I always keep in mind that they probably can switch gender and switch form. But that might just be the one that Lucifer decided to go with for the time being. Because you also have desire and despair. So they live in their own realms, but both of them give off a very like androgynous, masculine yet feminine vibe to them.
Like I feel like I really like how Sandman has all these different introductions to different characters, and these are all characters actually from the comics. You know, you have Lucifer Morningstar, you know, you have Desire come in, but you also have the Fate Sisters Death, who plays a major part in the saga in the comics, and also Lady Constantine, where she's probably from the new comics, but it just, I don't know, it just kind of shows you that, you know, the other season could really yield more successful results and the different characters introduced as the plot grows.
Yeah, I know they have a lot more to go ahead and delve into. And again, this actually really helps that this is already a like created, thought out, all of that. Like it's a comic, it's a well-formed thought, an idea, and world and universe. So Netflix has a lot to build off of. And as long as they don't try to change anything too much, like kind of like how The Walking Dead did, where they were like, we're going to change it so that way it'll be something that even the fans who read the comic, they wouldn't have expected this. So they're like, whoa, what just happened there? Like I hope they don't do that where they try to keep surprising people as it starts to keep going on, because if this is how the comics go, which it does seem like it's like that, the story's going to be really cool and it's going to remain kind of engaging.
Even if they change slightly, they're going to still probably stay to the mainstream comic as a way to guide the story. Lucifer, on the other hand, didn't do that as much. However, I really thoroughly enjoyed the show. But that's a rare spin-off that actually does really well. But Sandman, I don't feel like it's a spin-off from the comics. I feel like it's more closely grounded to the comics. It feels like more adaptation, more faithful to the source material than Lucifer.
Well, Lucifer works that it is it is a detour from the original source material for the show itself, but because of what they did decide to change, you're right. It hits really well, and it's one of those things where there are just a lot of people out there where if you tell them, oh, this was originally a book, or this was originally a screenplay or a comic or whatever, a lot of people just don't want to read, and if they do go and read it, if they've already seen the show first and the show is well crafted, even though they have changed things, they might end up just preferring their TV show. Like, they'll still think the book and original source material is good, but they've fallen in love with like the actors and the storylines and all of that in the show. So
Yeah.
I could see that being what happened with Lucifer. But also everyone dislikes, Lucifer in almost every iteration that we kind of see him in. Like, he was great in what we had in Supernatural for a hot minute. Then you got the show Lucifer, he's great in that. I think even the one that's in Sabrina the Teenage Witch that's on Netflix, the Lucifer in that one is also pretty cool. So really hard to mess up Lucifer unless you make him suck. Like, if you make him whiny, then that's the only way to mess him up. But this show, it looks like it's on track, so I hope it stays that way. But I don't really want them to change it, so I don't have to read the comic. Like, I just want to know what happened. I don't want to have to go back and read.
Well, more than likely, the next season's either going to be from Lucifer being Vision and as the enemy, or the actual enemies. The war that plays out in the comics is a big thing.
Well, they hinted at it you're talking about for Sandman, right? Like
in a big saga in the comic itself, and they already have Lucifer depicting that they were to prepare for war, and Dream would be one of the first enemies to invade.
Yes. No, what I was saying is that in the show, of course, they have to build up to it, so I was making sure that was the same thing, because it's not just Lucifer, what's her name? Yeah. Desire. Desire is also, I think it's both Desire and Lucifer are now plotting something even bigger, because they both make a solemn swear to make, bring Dream to his knees, which, I don't know, I guess it wasn't explained well in the show to me what was up with Desire. I was like, Desire, chill, we're having a good time. But I did watch an ending explained video that did give a breakdown. I think it was literally ending explained the channel. But yeah, it helped me understand why Desire acts the way they do throughout the show, which wasn't clear to me.
Desire is one of the endless that is isolated. They do what they want, feel like they want, but have an anti-hero approach. They do whatever benefits them, which that's basically what Desire is. You follow what your desire is, regardless of the outcome.
Yes, but what it was is that I didn't get why they were going for Dream in specific, but in particular, but it made sense when I watched the video, because again, like we said, dreams give hope, nightmares give warning and experience, so you can get over your worst moments. But because Desire exists the way they do, you need people to have more, I guess, despair, so they have these desires. But there's Desire, and then there's twin despair, and despair loves dreams, and they're like, you give me hope, you give me dreams, your hopes, they're wonderful. And so they're like, that's great. Desire doesn't like that, because if people don't despair for things and people don't have a want for things because they're happy, it means that they have less power. So in the same way that the more you would pray to a shrine, if you lived in Japan for a certain god, the more power that god would have. The less people who feed into their want and need of desire, the less power Desire has, and they hate feeling weaker than Dream. So that's why they concocted this whole big brain, high IQ scheme, and then they're gonna keep doing it in season 2. But I swear I did not understand it at all, because I didn't see how they were connected. But then it made sense. Then it kind of the pieces slipped.
Yeah, that connection is very heavily lured into the comics.
That was a lot for me. I said, oh, okay. Oh, all right.
The entire plot of one of the witnesses of the Endless, you can't kill it in this member, that was kind of how that was going on. I'm not want to talk too much about it, because that's the entire plot hole you have to observe for yourself. But one thing I do like, the Son of Familiars in the show, of previous nightmares, and I think the Ebony, the one that the Evergreen Forest in Dream.
Yes.
Or like out in the human civilization, they didn't really rebel against Dream, but since he wasn't there for like 100 years, they ventured out and they went out of their role when they were designed to maintain dreams. I thought that was kind of interesting how they came into the show, how they were introduced in different areas. But you also see like a transformation in that maybe the manifestations that Dream makes, like the nightmares and the different helpers that he has, maybe there's a function outside of their original function that they can actually now have.
Well, and that was a thing that it felt like an in-lore controversy. It felt like an in-lore debate. I think to us watching and probably even the humans, we'd be like, yeah, of course these creations, these familiars, they have dreams and they have aspirations outside of what tool they're supposed to be for humanity. But I don't know, man. Like, I feel like if we're talking about like the definition of an anti-hero, sometimes Dream was truly that. Like, he doesn't care for the wants and desires and needs of his creations and his familiars and the beings that are there. Every now and then he's a little nice, or he does something that you're like, I mean, I guess that helps. Like, he's never highly sympathetic because he created them for a reason. But there are a few familiars and like nightmares that are out there that decide they don't want to torment humans. Like, their whole existence is to give basically bad vibes to humans, so that way they can overcome those weaknesses. But they decided they don't want to do that. And like, there's one, asked me to remember her name, but she's like all pitch black type of being, and she was acting as like a sweeter mothering role in like the dreams of a young boy who was being abused, because she's like, yeah, my job sucks, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to do something else. And Dream's like, yeah, no, just no, sucks to suck. Instead of him just making a new person for the job, like you would think maybe trade them out, let them have a union, let them have some days off. But he was like, I've been gone for 100 years, your break's over, get back to torturing kids. And it was just so strange. I didn't like that, but I do appreciate that they didn't let him just
Dream perspective. Dream, it literally is detached from humanity.
Oh, so much.
He sees his role as like continuation of dreams, and the dreams being vital for humans to have, but so far maintain the order of such the realm is his main priority. Now we see him through glimpses get a glimpse into humanity and understand them, but he never dies. He's immortal, and the Endless have very few ways that they can actually die.
Yeah. I mean, also, it's not just that. It's also the fact that, I guess for a hot minute, Dream hadn't had any real connection to humans, which was understood. But then it kind of takes a darker turn, because again, you have to remember, in his mind, he's like, yeah, I'm doing my job. I'm doing what's supposed to be done. As if we didn't watch him in like episode 2 reconnect with a woman that he claimed to love. Like, he was like, I love this woman, and she rejected him, so he banished her for eternity into the underworld. And like, so yes, that he maybe can feel again, but it's I don't know. I just feel like he's one of the like most gods or most godly beings. Their existence is so far away detached from human, and their only job is to really babysit us and make sure we don't like choke on our own inventions, that they really don't have that same familial connection. The closest we saw to that was the nightmares and death. That's it. And
but
even then, death
is seriously.
Yeah.
She took it more personal as like, I need to continue this, for without this, it's gonna be chaos. Same thing with dreams. Half the population at most went into comas. They never woke up. So having the ability of deciphering between dreams and reality is important that we see constantly throughout the series. But this is also another reason why the artifacts being used in the different ways, what the original purpose is, and how humanity can't really separate dreams from reality, with the simple fact that dreams are more appealing than what reality is. And that constant state of being in the dream world makes the immortal body a potato. There's a vegetable state in real life, but in the dream world, you have everything you want.
Yeah. I don't know. If you haven't seen it, I would say watch it, because what you described, there's so many variations in which that's manifested of how what you want in the world exists within your dreams, and that's why you want to stay there, which does show all of the conflict that kind of arise from Green being gone, and him being back, and people having all these conflicts and dipping in between realms. But there's like, how many stories of humans? There's like maybe anywhere between like 5 to 7 different important humans that you see weave throughout the years that have passed, and even in current time. But all of them have certain dream aspects that make them really want to hold on to them, or want to utilize the power that Dream has, and it makes total sense when you watch it. But they did a really good job with the storytelling, so it doesn't just seem like a human being selfish. They add a lot of complicated measures to it, which I also hear go into the lore, like the woman with the dead husband, like that whole art that goes into some magic baby and I'm just like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, neat. Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, watch it, because also it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous show. And the storytelling lore, actually, they impressed me. Jesus. I thought it was going to be kind of like, not gimmicky, but just kind of over the top, kind of theatery, but it wasn't.
But you also have to remember, Sandman is not really a fantasy-filled lore. It has a lot of dread and violence. So having that type of like, your dreams may come true in reality is only a part of it. That's not really what Morbius is. Well, in his storyline?
No, it's not what he is, but it is kind of what you're. I think also the concept and idea of what dreams can do for you and what they are. They had to be kind of rewritten and better understood. Which is the storytelling in the episodes do a good job of that, of feeding you that information and reiterating it, because everyone thinks of dreams as supposed to be something that's pleasant, and nightmares is something completely separate. It's hard to imagine that they both exist within the same realm and from the same type of creator. So shoot, what was that? What was the one with Jack Frost? Guardian of something. Regardless.
Rise of the Galaxy?
Yeah, that one.
That's the legendary figures.
Yeah, but in that one, you have the Sandman, but you also literally have Nightmare. I think that's the thing. But yeah. The two of them are separate entities, but in the show, it's almost kind of one and the same.
But that's what dreams are. One is nightmare, one is the happy dream.
Yeah, but nobody ever really wants to deal with their nightmare.
Entirety. It's still a dream, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, I would say, like usual, it's quality over
duality.
Quality. Yeah, you can't overindulge in either, because they show very early on what happens when you allow for too much dreams with the older woman who has his bag of sand. So it shows the negatives of that, and then you have Arthur, I'll say his name is, who is able to control nightmares. You just kind of get to see what happens when both are just unleashed, and how neither one is good without the other.
True. You know, it's kind of funny. Throughout this discussion, I picked up a butterfly figurine just in a basket on the table, and I've been looking at it, and it really symbolically represents dreams, because we actually have a scene of a motif of a butterfly in the actual show. It's made of like a fabric, like you have galls tied together, and it's in the shape of a butterfly. And I've just been looking at it while talking to you.
I will say, the symbolism in the show is actually really well done.
Yeah.
And
I like how, not only was the symboling was strong enough to convey the story, but it gave images into what it tells about how we perceive our imagination, our hopes and desires, and really what can be envisioned in a story like this. You got any closing thoughts?
I would have to say, if you're looking for a show, especially if you haven't seen this one, or you watched it and you just haven't watched it again, it's one of the few shows that I've seen in the past year of 2022 that had a supernatural mythological element to it that was new and that I haven't thought of before, but it's also a very engaging story, and it helps kind of refresh that genre, because a lot of things kind of start to come out, especially with how we have like superhero or supernatural movies just coming out back to back. This is actually a really well done series, and it's absolutely gorgeous in its storytelling, and it feels feels very realistic, where you can actually relate to the characters, and you very much so, at least in my opinion, have a protagonist that I don't necessarily love, but I do enjoy his motivations in the way that he goes about solving his issues, in dealing with his own problems at the same time. So if you haven't seen it or you haven't rewatched it.
This concludes another episode of MC Anime Podcast. MC Anime Podcast is available on podcast directories like Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. We also have our website at mcanimepodcast.com. If you want to directly support us, then follow Patreon blog MC Anime. Finally, if you want services for hire, then we're available on Fiverr for audio and video production, graphic design, idea consulting, and blog and article writing.